Hello everyone, welcoming all of you in our today's e-lecture for class BA part 3rd. And in this lecture, we will discuss the prelude 4th. As in our previous videos, we have discussed the prelude 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and this is the last video regarding this poem, The Preludes, written by T.S. Eliot. And in this video, we will discuss the prelude 4th. And before we start the line by line explanation of this prelude fourth, just have some general introduction regarding this prelude. Okay, so in this slide, as you are able to see the introduction to the prelude fourth. So all these four preludes of T.S. Eliot deals with the more sordid aspect of city life of the poor people at London. Characters in the preludes are depicted as degraded by the poverty and gross sexuality. And in this prelude, he again describes the vision of woman and he gives a fanciful idea. And in his imagination, he compares the street with the unclean woman. Like her, the street lies on her back and passively enduring the pressures of men mounted on her. And at the end of poet expresses endless human sufferings and distress. So this is general intro about the prelude fourth. Okay, and in this prelude uh, again T.S. Eliot provides a sketch of unclean woman comparing with the street. Means unclean woman and street both are similar. Means the striking similarity between the woman and the street is drawn here by T.S. Eliot. And the difference is only that the woman is aware of her exploitation, but the street is ignorant. So this is the prelude fourth. And these are the line of prelude fourth. Sorry, these are the lines of first extract of prelude fourth. Okay. Here also his soul is traced tight across the skis that fade behind a city block or trampled by instant feet at 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock. Again here is time. Again he comes on evening at 4, 5 and 6 o'clock and short square fingers stuffing pipe and evening newspapers and eyes assured of certain certainties and the conscious of a blackened street and impatient to assume the world. Means these are the first extract of a prelude fourth. Means when, dear student, just remember that when you write to critical appreciation of the preludes, means whatever may be extracted from the preludes, T.S. Eliot, we can write reference to the context commonly as this. We can write like this. These lines have been taken from the poem The Preludes written by T.S. Eliot. And these are four preludes. The word prelude means a preparatory exercise expected to lead something more full-fledged, and Eliot depicts the four Eliot depicts the four sketches throughout the four preludes, and the first two preludes describe the ugly, gloomy landscape and atmosphere of the street where at the city of London. And the last Two preludes as Prelude third and fourth describe the character sketches of unclean woman, and the first two preludes were written between 1910 to 11 at Harvard. Only means the first two preludes were written only in 1910 at Harvard, and the third prelude was written in July 1911 at Paris, and the fourth prelude was written in 1911 in Paris also. So all these preludes untitled and seem as related parts of a single poem. So as like this we can write a reference to the context from the lines when you will see in your examination. So this is some general intro, like a general introduction. And now again come to the our today's prelude fourth, and as the lines, the opening extract of the prelude first, as you can able to see on your screen, and just we have studied that also. So these lines are the opening lines of prelude fourth, and all his preludes deal with the more sordid aspects of the city life at London. Characters in the preludes are depicted as degraded by the poverty and gross sexuality. And here he again describes the vision of woman, and he gives a fanciful idea, and in his imagination he compares the street with the unclean woman. Like her, the street lies on her back and passively enduring the pressure of men mounted on her, and the sky is also looking bending out the street as in the first line, his soul is traced tight across the skis that fade behind a city block. As we can hear, watch that his soul is traced tight across the skis that fade behind the city block or trampled by instant feet at 4, 5 and 6 o'clock. Means like all these images means here the idea in he he gives a fanciful idea, and in his imagination mean T.S. Eliot in his imagination compares the street with the unclean woman, and like the unclean woman, the street also lies on her back and passively enduring the pressure of men mounted on her like the woman, and the sky is also looking bending over the street. So it is the time of evening at 4, 5 or 6 o'clock. Again, like the first prelude, as we have seen that there is the evening at 6 o'clock, and again T.S. Eliot comes to the same time, the evening time at 4, 5 or 6 o'clock. And the street also has gloomy experiences overnight like the woman, like the unclean woman, and she is unhappy waiting for morning and starting of the day to day exercises by the people. So in the next the poet says that these men are holding tobacco pipes. Just here he says, and short square fingers, s- stiff pipe, and evening newspapers and eyes, assured of certain certainties, and the conscious of a blackened street, impatient to assume the world. So next the poet says these mains means the men which are uh, passing into the streets. So the next poet says that these men are holding tobacco pipes and evening newspapers with short, thick fingers, and their eyes are full of certain matters, certain certain certainties. Here, assured of certain certainties means the eyes of the eyes of the people full of uh, full of certain matters, and in this way He says that the street, like a woman, faces a day with a blackened conscience and eagerly waits the day's traffic to begin. Means eagerly waits to the day, the starting of the day. So this is the opening extract of a Prelude Fourth. And in this Prelude Fourth, we also have ugly and gloomy sketch of woman and the street like this. The dirty places, foul smelling people are living there. So this kind of atmosphere depicted by T.S. Eliot in his preludes, both his preludes. And these are the last lines of Prelude Fourth. I am moved by fancies that are curled around these images and cling. The notion of some infinitely gentle and infinitely suffering things. Wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh. These the worlds revolve like ancient women, gathering fuel in the vacant loads. So the last three lines are very important. Occasionally, these lines can be seen in our competitive examinations also. So these are the last lines of Prelude Fourth and very important, very important lines also. So here I first in the very first line of this extract we can see the I am moved by fancies that are curled means here I who is I. So I refers to the poet himself. Suddenly the mood and attitude of the poet change. So he is so much disturbed by the images and fanciful ideas as we see in line number 50 and 51. Okay, line number 50 and 51 just here. This is line number 50 and this is 51. The notion of some infinitely gentle and infinitely suffering things. So in the line number 50 and 51, he thinks Jesus Christ or Holy Virgin, the sufferings of the Jesus Christ. Here he says like this the some infinitely gentle and infinitely suffering things. Infinitely suffering things means the suffering of Jesus Christ and Holy Virgin. And like the infinite, the sufferings of Jesus, like the infinite, his imagination and the images of infinite sufferings. But his suffering is endless. His last two lines are an expression of recurring endless human distress. As he says, wipe your hands, such as wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh, means you are destined to living in that kind of gloomy atmosphere. But in spite of it, he says, Eliot says, in spite of all these circumstances, all these adverse circumstances, just wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh. The world's resolve like the ancient woman. Here, he compares the whole world with the ancient woman. She, as she gathering fuel in vacant loads. So, last three lines are very important lines. Here, the life's emptiness is compared to a poor ancient woman. In the last line, as we says, the world revolves like ancient woman gathering fuel in the vacant loads. Means here the world and the life is compared with a poor ancient woman. So here the last two lines 50 and 51 expresses the recurring endless human distress and endless human misery is compared to continuous work of gathering fuel and vacant loads by the ancient poor woman. So the poet says, we are helpless, so he concludes, means we are helpless, means you are the poor people and you are destined to living that kind of atmosphere. So you are helpless. And in spite of all these adverse circumstances, T.S. Eliot appeals to the all people living in the poor areas, poor city streets. He says, just wipe your hands and across your mouth and laugh. Means wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh. This is the only way. You can't do nothing. You just do only wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh. Just keep smile, getting smile always. And at the last two line he compares the world, he compares the life with ancient woman and her continuous work, gathering fuel in the vacant lots. So this is our today's poem, The Prelude, and here also, T.S. Eliot depicts the very striking images of street and dirty, foul-smelling of the people, and all these images presents gloomy and which kind of atmosphere? All the images presents the gloomy and dreary atmosphere of the city life, of the city streets, and as we see in the first prelude, the evening scene, and in the second prelude, we saw the scene of dawn, the scene of morning, and in the third and fourth prelude, we came to know about means we have sketches of unclean women comparing with the street. So thus, the T.S. Eliot depicts very striking image in his preludes, and as thus we have completed our today's e-lecture regarding the poem Prelude Fourth, and this is our last lecture regarding this poem, last and fifth lecture regarding this poem, The Preludes T.S. written by T.S. Eliot, Thomas Stern Eliot, and I hope all of you better understand all the fourth prelude of the preludes, prelude first, second, third, and fourth. So please keep watching all fourth video regarding this poem, the preludes, and enjoy your study. Till then,